On today's Buckeye Roast, the new AP poll is out, and we'll break down where Ohio State stands and what it means heading into week 2. We also asked the big question: does Ryan Day have another first-round quarterback on his hands? The boys discuss. Speaking of film, we share our offensive rewatch takeaways, plus notes from Ryan Day's latest press conference. And finally, how important are the next 3 games for the running backs? We'll talk usage, depth, and what the staff needs to see before conference play. I'm Chris Drew, and this is the Buckeye Roast with Ron and Q right here on Dead Air Sports. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are back for another episode of the Buckeye Roast. It's your boy Ron James here with my guy QP Ski. Q, how you doing?
I'm good, man. It seems like we've been buzzing lately, so just because the name has changed doesn't mean the likes haven't. Smash that like button. Make sure you do that. I'm good, man. We're rolling in. We watched some films, so we got some things definitely to work on. We're going to jump into that a little later, but I'm good, man. Week 1, win against Texas, can't complain. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Action-packed show here, but before we get started, we have to give a big shout out to all the new subscribers, all the old subscribers, everyone that has been supporting us. I mean, we spent a month starting the season begging for 50 likes an episode, and you guys have been absolutely killing it over here. We've been running it up to 100 plus likes an episode, and we want to just keep that going and want to let you guys know how much we appreciate all the support that we've been seeing around here. So just wanted to thank you guys. And Q, I have a stat for you.
All right, hit me.
I've said I've had a stat for you for like 5 straight days. I actually haven't brought a stat. I've brought numbers. I've brought trivia questions, random pictures. I like the opening. I have a stat for you, but I actually do have a stat for you today. And I want to give a shout out to all the people on Twitter that have been tweeting the phrase fun fact and then providing an Ohio State stat, because it has been carrying the intro to the show. And the stat of the day, Q, is around 11-win season. The Ohio State Buckeyes have more 11-win seasons since 2010 than the team up north has in their entire program history.
Sheesh. I gotta go back and check some records. Man, they've been talking like they've been really killing shit up there.
Man, it's crazy the way they talk. The last 4 years has given them so much confidence. It disgusts me. But man, the Buckeyes, the pillar of consistency.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing we always say. Like we talk to people on Twitter, and it would be in spaces, and teams like, oh, we want a natty, and it's like, yeah, but you didn't do shit for another 10 years. It's good to deal with my team won't have a down year like a 9-win year would shock us at Ohio State. You go to LSU, you go to USC, you go to some of these other schools, and they'd be like, that's not a bad year at all. So I'm just telling you, it's nice to be up here.
I mean, I feel like it's been a phrase that we've been using a lot around here these days. It feels good to be a Buckeye. And when you hear stats like that, it's just another reminder, like, had it pretty good.
Yeah, can't complain. All right, so actually, we'll do it after.
No, let's go. Yeah, let's do it now.
How you gonna do that? Okay, so I saw a social media post, Ron, and I wanted to address this to you because I thought this one's pretty tough. It's not easy. So in the chat, in the comments, get involved. Let me know what you're thinking. So we have a start bench cut. Percy Harvin, Tavon Austin, Ted Ginn. Those are your 3 crazy playmakers in college. Ron, put it to you first. Who are you starting? Who are you benching? Who are you cutting, and why?
This is an extra difficult question for your boy here, given my affinity for the Buckeyes, but also, for those who don't know, my almost school was West Virginia, and I grew up in the backyard brawl rivalry right here in Pittsburgh. That was the big thing on Thanksgiving weekend. It was the backyard brawl here in Pittsburgh between Pitt and West Virginia. I was always the contrarian in my family. Everybody was a Pitt fan. I would always root for West Virginia in that rivalry because it would be so funny watching my family get mad. So doing this to Tavon Austin is going to hurt. I mean, For one, it has to be a starter for Ted Ginn. Like, come on now, Glenville boy. Like, you have to respect the Buckeye. He's gonna get the start. You're gonna bench Percy. That's, you know what I mean. Urban's guy. Shout out to Florida and what he did there. And then you gotta cut Tavon. It hurts me. It hurts me to do, because we talked about it the other day. You were like, if you weren't a Buckeye, who would your team be? And that one for me every time is easily, I would be a Mountaineer fan. I would be a West Virginia fan if I did not root for the Buckeyes. So to have to do that to Tavon Austin absolutely hurts. But, you know, the Glenville boy has to be at number one and start him. And then we're going to have to bench Percy and then cut Tavon.
All right, interesting. Tavon cutting him after all the dynamic highlights. You talk about players grew up and they're like, yeah, that's my most watched college highlight is Tavon.
I know you're not about to sit up here on the Buckeye roast and disrespect Ted Ginn, so I'm just warning you now before whatever you were about to do. By the way you set that up, I know you're not about to disrespect Ted Ginn on this program.
Oh, no, I'm not. But if I had to switch one for you, and we could talk about this, yes, unfortunately, my heart as well. Tavon Austin is probably the one to get cut. But if you want to argue for Tavon, make sure you do so in the comments, because we will respect it and we'll talk about it. Now, Percy and Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn, obviously, the longest career out of all of them, lasted around the league. I mean, Percy probably, it seems like he went crazy somewhere in the middle of his career, so maybe that's why his career is shortened. But word from Zach Smith himself. And also, word from Urban Meyer, he might be the greatest dude to put on a helmet. Not just college player, not just like the greatest dude to put on a helmet. And what he did at Florida absolutely fed families, fed generations, actually. So if you're just looking at it, we're looking from a college lens. Are you sure you want to start Ted Ginn over Percy Harvin, the Florida edition versus the Ohio State edition?
Yeah, I'm come on now. I'm giving my homer take. I'm standing on my homer take. I wear red hat every day. I'm not going to get up here and pick a Florida Gator over Ted Ginn. I'm sorry. I'm just going to ride with the homer pick.
Okay. Now, I would start Percy. Personally, we chased, how long did Urban Meyer chase a Percy Harvin in the Ohio State offense? I mean, the closest we got was Curtis Samuel after a while, but we chased a Percy Harvin for the entire time Urban was here, 7-8 years.
We had one, DeMario McCall.
that was a Percy Harris, not a Percy Harvin, unfortunately. No, shout out to DeMario McCall. But I mean, I'm definitely starting Percy. I think what he did in college is absolutely crazy, and shoot, the way he went crazy in Florida, especially among the talent they had. I mean, not to say Ohio State didn't have talent, because we do, but you look at that generation of players that played on that Florida offense, and you're like, man, I got track stars, I got pros, I got dynamic guys, and Percy Harvin was a man amongst boys there in the SEC when the SEC was really the SEC. So I'm going.
He was the man amongst killers. Like, what are we talking about?
He was a man amongst prisoners. So definitely.
I mean, you're the man on one of the most insane college football teams of all time. You might have an argument here, but the homer in me just won't let me do it.
That's fair. I'm glad somebody went with Ted Ginn, because that is my favorite college player, my favorite Buckeye of all time. But what say you in the comments? Let us know. Just want to start out with that because I thought that would be fun. But Ron, without further ado, man, play the music. Let's get to the show.
Q, the AP poll came out yesterday, and I was worried going into this delayed poll that they were going to try to screw the Buckeyes, but they don't. The Buckeyes, number one in the nation. A lot of talk by propaganda pushers at ESPN that LSU deserved to be number one after beating Clemson, but they did the right thing. And the Buckeyes are number one. You see the Big Ten at the top. You absolutely love it. 2 out of the top 3 teams in the country. Miami makes a huge jump to number 5. Q, what are your thoughts about the AP poll?
Well, first starting out, I am very surprised that LSU did not jump Penn State. I think they had the chance to do it. They had all the ammo, but they didn't do it. So I'm very surprised that but so far when I look at this list and I look at just the top 10, I mean, I like it. I mean, Clemson, Notre Dame, you can maybe swap those. Texas at 7, they didn't fall too far, so I'm not too mad at that. I mean, Miami makes a big jump to number 5, but they beat Notre Dame, who we all figured was probably a top 5 team. So really can't complain there based on what happened on the field.
Can we stick right there with these two teams? How
okay.
how much of a believer are you in Notre Dame and Miami? Like, how impressed were you? I was impressed with Miami's defensive line, and Notre Dame found a way to make it close at the end. But I watched that Notre Dame game and was pretty disappointed in that team.
Yeah, I think one I know CJ Carr, he's been up for criticism, but I thought he played pretty well that first game. I mean, in the rain, going on the road. I mean, I thought they relied on him way too heavily, but I thought he played pretty well. And obviously, you're looking for Riley Leonard. TJ Carr can throw the deep ball. I think he was like 2 for 2, ended up on deep ball. So he can throw the deep ball. He can unlock that offense. I think his weapons around him just need to help him out. So I would say I think that Notre Dame team, while Miami caught them, it got at home, momentum, lightning in a bottle. By the end of the year, I would expect Notre Dame. Now, this is an early prediction, but I would expect Notre Dame to be back up there trying to crack that top 5 and make the college football playoff because they don't have a conference. Miami, for me, still a bit unknown. I felt like towards the end of that game, Notre Dame was really gaining momentum, and Miami was holding on for dear life besides coming out and dominating for mostly the first 3 quarters. So I would say I think that Notre Dame team is still pretty good. I'm interested to see if this Miami team can be consistent. Are they good? Yeah, they have a high. We talked about it the last few years. High talent, Mark. Like if they come out and ball out, that yeah, they can play with almost anybody in the country. But can they do it week to week? And the ACC is not a hard place to do it week to week because you don't play a Big Ten or SEC schedule. So we will see what happens. But going forward to if you ask me which team I think is more likely to win a championship by the end of the season, I would still rock with Notre Dame.
Interesting. The 3 teams that I find to be most interesting in the entire AP poll are all in a line. When you look at this third row at 13, 14, and 15, I think Florida, Florida State, and Michigan are the 3 most interesting teams in the country right now because they flashed in week 1. We know they have the talent. But are they going to be able to sustain it throughout the year? We know Florida has a gauntlet of a schedule. We know Michigan has to play number 18 Oklahoma this week. Obviously, the end of the season with Ohio State. They're going to have tough games. Florida State, they have to play the other Florida schools. They have to play Miami and Florida this year. How do these teams continue to perform? I think all 3 of these teams have the potential to end up in the playoff, and they're sitting right on the outside looking in. I think the ceiling is super high on all 3 of these teams, and it's going to be interesting to see how the season goes for these 3 going forward, especially with them not currently being in the playoff picture, but being right on the fringe.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're Miami or Florida State, because I'll loop Florida State into this, you know that Clemson, like, yeah, they're beatable. I play in the ACC. These are the other 2 teams I have to worry about. Obviously, it's a rivalry game between them, so we'll see how that settles down. But I think they're both feeling like we can get Clemson. We just saw what they put on film. If that's the team they are, we can get them. And then we're both looking at getting into the college football playoff because I think this is a year where because Clemson was so high in the preseason and Miami was so high, the ACC can get 2 in. I mean, SMU was lurking right around there. So this is a year where
Hear me out. I said I had a conversation with Darnell the other day. I think I mentioned it on the show. Is there a scenario where we see 3 ACC teams get in?
I don't think they will all play consistent good ball through the season. I think in the ACC, if you're not playing in that ACC championship game, you're going to have a rough time getting in. So Miami obviously avoids Georgia Tech. Hopefully they can avoid that just terrible loss that marks them. But if they really are just eating each other, you feel like they're going to probably get 2 teams in. Could they get a third? I mean, it depends on how strong the SEC is down the line, how strong the Big Ten is down the line. If one of those conferences have 4 really solid teams that you can't leave out, I think they're going to look at the ACC and be like, this conference just isn't as good. And I'll bet on the first 2, but I'm not betting on the third one.
Yeah, those 3 are going to be fun to monitor. And then one other team that I wanted to get your thoughts on before we circle back to the Buckeyes. You see Alabama fall all the way to 21. what is the meltdown going to look like in Tuscaloosa if they drop out of the top 25 at some point this season?
I mean, it'd be vast. I mean, they're lucky they're not at 22. I mean, Tennessee, for losing Nico, went to Syracuse and looked pretty good. I mean, they didn't blow them out the water, but would you have thought before the season that Florida State would be that much better than Syracuse? Like, you figured they'd be middle of the road or at least a decent team. You thought Florida State would at least be a decent team. So I think they're very lucky. Tennessee goes on the road and pretty much looks to take command over Syracuse and gets out there with a good win. They're lucky they're not at 22. I mean, Indiana, we know their off-season schedule. Their non-conference schedule. They ain't playing nobody. So you're looking at them like they're probably going to hop them at some point. Utah, absolutely. I mean, we don't think UCLA is that good. I mean, we said it. Nico was throwing to us. But, I mean, Utah had a dominant win.
I have to give you your flowers on that one, man. You called that all off season. I tried to hype up Nico on multiple shows, and you kept, every time I would bring up Nico, you would say, who is he throwing to? And I still don't know a name of a wide receiver at UCLA, and you've asked me the question at least 12 times on this program. So I have to give you your flowers there. You called that out. I was a believer in Nico going into that UCLA program and finding a way to just talent his way through it, and that did not happen.
I mean, honestly, Ron, I feel like I disrespected us. We might have called a touchdown. maybe I'm holding Gus down a little farther than I should. But I mean, I felt like, Nico would struggle, especially. I mean, UCLA is just getting going. Like I said, the Big Ten, they make $60-some million a year. And we'll talk about it a little later. Start paying guys and get them over there. They paid Nico, but you got to get them some help. But looking at this top 25, I mean, Texas Tech. It's going to be an interesting shout, but not Miami. Alabama is not far from falling out the top 25. They have a couple, I don't know, performances. I mean, the thing is, it's going to deserving versus will they do it? Does the AP voters and the coaches poll and all these other, analysts have the balls to knock Alabama out the top 25? Because it's one thing if they don't deserve to be in the top 25. It's another thing because we just saw ESPN for the whole weekend copping pleas after plea after plea. Do they have the balls to say this team is not very good if they continue to perform the way they have? This team is not very good, and we have 5 other teams better than them that deserve to be in the top 25. That is your true question.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever do it. So if that's the question, no, I don't. I think you'll see Alabama hover at 25. But, I mean, that schedule gets so spooky, man. They end September playing at Georgia. Then they have Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois, and then the Iron Bowl. Like, those are all very losable games based on what we saw them put on film against Florida State, unless Florida State is really like that. We'll just have to see. I wanted to circle back to the Buckeyes, though. You look at them right there at number 1, man, and is it great to see them sitting at the top of the sport. And we talked earlier in the week, or last week before the Texas game, about how important getting this win against Texas would be. As far as the playoff picture and the cushion that it gives the Buckeyes, it feels like it's now still, you don't want to overlook any opponents, but with Michigan and Penn State seem to be the biggest games looming. Obviously, you have Illinois and Washington that are going to be tough games too. But with these difficult matchups, getting that one over Texas early is huge with as far as their positioning, not only for the number 1 seed, but potentially just to have a home playoff game if they were to drop a game later in the season and to not have that early loss on the record. Because you saw scenarios play out where if the Ohio State goes out and loses to Texas and then drops one at home to Penn State, man, does that Michigan game start to look a lot more spooky towards the end of the season. So to have that game in pocket and have the Buckeyes position at the number 1 position in the sport and be at the top of the sport, I feel like it has to be great as a Buckeye fan to know we have a cushion already.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, lucky enough for this season, Oregon is not on the schedule, so that gives you a little more comfort.
Oh, you scared of them?
I'm not scared of them, but like you said, anything can happen. A team could get a lot better. You could, like I said, it only takes one drop game. If you have one, you're like,
as soon as you have one blemish on your record, it starts to be like, all right, man, we can't be doing this too much.
It really just puts you on the fence of like, I don't know if we're going to be able to walk this line and hold it, because anything can happen. You can get people get hurt, things happen. So I'm not trying to jinx anything, but things do happen. So, I mean
you look at Texas being in the opposite position of the Buckeyes and having that loss on the record to start the season. That makes that Florida game a lot more important. That makes that Oklahoma game that much more important. That makes that Georgia game that much more important. Texas A&M to end the season, like that's a lot of ranked games that Texas is still going to have to play by the end of the year, and they already have one loss on their schedule.
Yeah, and you're looking at I think the benchmark now is like you want to be that maybe like 2.5 loss mark. You want to be on the side of 2, because you feel like if you fall into 3, you don't know what's happening. We talked about the ACC early. Miami, Clemson, and Florida State possibly could all find their ways with 1 or 2 losses. They're buying for
Look at all of the SEC teams lurking right now. LSU, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida right on the outside looking in. Texas.
Yeah, it's like once you hit over that 3 loss mark, you're in the hands of the committee. And we saw how many teams came out last year and complained they didn't get in, because you also have a guaranteed non-Power 5 team that's going to be in the playoffs already, along with the conference champions. So it's like, I don't want to be playing that game. So as much as people say Ohio State because they don't think they're going to lose to Michigan and Penn State, but that Texas game is good to get that off of our back and be like, okay, as long as we come out and we play good ball, we should be able to out-talent everyone, and we just got to find a way to win those 2 games. And having the ability to have a loss, you're still looking at possibly a Big Ten championship and moving forward and not have to worry about the playoffs.
We floated the idea here on this program a couple episodes ago about, is the regular season ruined by the college football playoff expansion, and did these games lose meaning? Because for a lot of time going into that Texas game, and it feels like revisionist history now, given that the Buckeyes have the win in hand, but I went into that game saying Buckeyes will be fine if they lose this game. You just want to see them be competitive and learn from whatever they put on film. And now to have that win in hand and then look at everybody else's schedule and how crazy this playoff picture could look, I think I underestimated how difficult it's going to be to get in this playoff. Even with the expanded playoff, it's great to have that win in hand already.
Yeah, I mean, it was a trade-off. But again, if you're going to have great games like we had week 1 of college football, and obviously through this non-conference schedule, like you feel like those games, 1 for bragging rights, but 2, it's going to be important later. The fact that, let's say Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State are all bidding. The fact that Ohio State won at Texas, and now those are the top 3 teams, you're like,
not at Texas. I think that's the second time you've done that, because someone yelled at us in the comments for saying that the game wasn't played in Austin.
We'll win again next year too. Don't worry about it. But the fact that they beat Texas, if Oklahoma goes out not Oklahoma, if Michigan goes out and beats Oklahoma, you're looking at it like the top of the Big Ten is better than the SEC. So if the Big Ten has 3 teams or 4 teams that deserve those spots, it's hard to argue against it. So it still makes those games have importance, because if the SEC goes out and balls out, it's like, okay, their top 4, we know against the other conferences, are better than the teams they played in other conferences. So we got to give them the benefit of the doubt. So I think it still adds that value. Like, you're not on a 1-loss season like we've dealt with before. We lose 1 game and it's like 2005, like, oh, there goes our natty chances, which it did, because you would have had to go undefeated. So it's not quite that far, but it still has a lot of importance.
Yeah, to see that it feels like these games have the meaning, and it almost was like just an off-season narrative to talk about of, oh man, the regular season doesn't mean as much anymore. They're diluting the product. We've been through 1 week of college football, and it feels just as great as it has always.
I agree 100%.
Maybe because my team just won, but I don't know, man. College football is still feels pretty great, and we're watching a fall of a dynasty and a bunch of teams potentially fighting for another one. You have Dabo with 2 natties in the sport. You have Kirby with 2 natties in the sport. You have Ryan Day looking for his second, and all of these teams in contention, all while we're watching Alabama return back to normal.
Yeah. Definitely. Let's see how the season plays out, but there's a lot of storylines heading just out of week 1 of the season. So we're interested to see how that stretch goes. Penn State, a team we talked about a lot. Ron, they might have just sold their natty chances. You want to give them the news?
Breaking news: Penn State's uniforms just got even worse.
Oh, so they switched to Adidas. Now we know Nike has run the championship pipeline as far as Auburn back in the day. I don't know is there a Nike school when is the last non-Nike school to win a national championship, Ron? That's a trivia question.
I'll have to get on that one. Huh?
Is it Auburn?
I don't know. I'll look it up.
Actually, that's something I should have asked. That could have been a trivia question. That would have been a good one.
Someone's probably screaming at the screen right now.
They probably know it.
You got it. Auburn, 2010.
Auburn. So since 2010, only Nike schools have won. Penn State switched to Adidas. Ron, is the door just closed? Is this their year? Because they switched to Adidas. I figured it'd come in the next couple of years. The door might be closed.
No, I think that just confirmed that Penn State's not winning anything because they're an unserious program. You know what I mean? Like, how could you argue with that stat right there? And they're not it's not even like Auburn won it with Adidas.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Auburn now, they switch back to Nike, and you're like, oh man, they might be back. They go and we make fun of them. They go and they win against Baylor, so maybe that's a secret sauce. But yeah, we'll see how Penn State handles that going for us. Let us know. Is Penn State's door closed in the comments? Why you like that video? Make sure you do that. Ron, I got one more thing for you before we hop into Ohio State talking. So front office sports, I was watching them, and Dan Lanning had to address something. So Mike Gundy, coach of Oklahoma State, came out and said, Oregon.
He's a man. He's 40.
Yeah, that guy. He said, Oregon should be playing teams that spend as much money as they do in NIL. I quote, Dan Lanning hears about that in his press conference. He talks about NIL, and he says, we spend to win. Some people save to have an excuse. Ron, what side are you on? Because obviously Oregon's going to play teams that spend as much money as they do when they go through the Big Ten. And he's talking about their non-conference playing whoever Oregon played in the first week. So there. But do you think some people are really saving money? We talk about these schools. We talked about Northwestern, the Big Ten opened up. We said, you're making $63 million a year, and this is the product you put on the field against MAC schools?
Everybody knows what the cost of a competitive roster is. You're either here to play ball or you're not, and don't pretend like you are. So, I can't be mad at Mike Gundy for saying, oh, I want to play against teams that have rosters that cost as much as mine. Well, go to the MAC then, bro. I don't know what to tell you. If you want to compete for it, you can't. And that's the thing that frustrates me about this. Oh, let's give an automatic bid for a group of 5 school. Why? You have people in the Big 12 talking about I can't afford to compete. Why are we giving them playoff spots?
I would agree with you there. So I funny enough, we had this talk, I think this was off the record, but we had this talk the other day of like these schools, someone they're struggling with money, and we're looking at our student loan accounts like, well, that's kind of expensive. So I said $20 million. If you needed an extra $20 million for your roster, how much would it cost? The school I went to, VCU, had around 50,000 students or so, we'll say, for example. And a lot of these bigger schools have, especially Oklahoma State, have a lot of students. If you raise tuition by $400 per student, there's $20 million right there. And let's not act like tuition don't raise, because that's happening regardless of what you want to put towards the football budget.
I mean, if you've ever read through a fees list when you're paying for school, if someone snuck in a national championship fee, would you even be mad? Because I've seen some fees on my bills, and I'm like, I would much rather a national championship fee than whatever the hell that one was.
No, I mean, I agree. So Dan Lanning has had a pretty cold summer, but I want to say he's right. I mean, you saw Miami now has a resurgence. You saw they were willing to spend and get the talent in the building. Florida State went off this offseason and said, hey, we got to rebuild this whole roster. What we did last year just didn't work. Bought a bunch of transfers, and now we're talking about them as a top 15 ball club. So I would have to say, like, all these especially Power 4 schools, you can get to Boise State and say, hey, they don't have the attendance, whatever. They don't have the sponsors. These top Power 4 schools, all of them have the money, the power, the donor base to go out and spend money and at least put on a roster where you say, okay, they may not have just a program in place, but they spent money and tried to compete.
And if you don't want to compete, just get out of the way. Like, there are plenty of teams that would like to reshuffle and secure their spot in the Power 4 and whatever the future of college football looks like. If there are teams that are quote unquote saving and don't want to spend, bye.
Yeah. I mean, it's the world. It's the world we live in. I mean,
the world we live in. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. Either get a time machine or join the Mac. I don't know what to tell you, but we're here. You're either spending or you're getting stomped on. So I have no sympathy for Mike Gundy unless he wants to go to another conference.
I mean, I agree. We both went to college. My school was spending a ton of money. They basically took over the city of Richmond to get people to say, man, it's a nice campus. I want to go here. So if you're willing to do that and you want good football players, do the same thing. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. Q, I wanted to pivot to Ohio State conversations. I saw someone complaining on Twitter about how long it took us to get to Ohio State conversations. Well, the shows are timestamped on Twitter, so if you want to jump right to the Ohio State content, check it out in the description and find out where it's at. We appreciate everybody tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button. If you're watching on X, go ahead and retweet the video. We appreciate all the support that we've seen. Me and Q spent a half hour prepping for the show, and I probably brought it up at least 50 times how amazing it is, all the support that we've seen. So we can't thank you guys so much. Can't thank you guys enough. Thank you so much. Make sure you keep smashing that like button. And Q, I have a video for you.
All right, hit me.
I wish I was really happy. I'll start out with that. Always good to see the young guys still repping the O like they supposed to. But I think Patricia got some magic. I feel like when it comes to being that that play caller for them. I know they have the guys. So yeah, I mean, they got a lot of guys back there. Downs, they got Sonny Styles, Kenyatta Jackson Jr. They got some guys over there. So I mean, you let them guys fly.
Let them guys fly. He said our guy Matty P has some magic. How does it feel to hear former Buckeyes talk about what they're seeing? I saw Garyon Conley and Chimney both on the timeline talking about how impressed they were with Matt Patricia's defense. How encouraging is it to hear former Buckeyes get excited about the new coordinator after one game?
Yeah, no, it's major, and especially a lot of guys who are playing in the NFL because who are the next up looking at? They're looking at pros and saying, hey, man, like if this guy says this and he made it to the NFL, I mean, Chase Young, it's a first-round pick, obviously all-time great defensive end. You're like, well, if he approves of that defense and I saw what he's gone on and done, I want to go do the same thing. So, no, it's big time for Matt Patricia to get his flowers, and I actually had a quote for you. So, Bruce Arians, NFL coach or former NFL coach, he came out and he said for Arch Manning, like, why did he struggle so much? He came out and said with Patricia's system, it wouldn't have been easier for some veteran NFL quarterbacks to process. Like he talked about Peyton and Tom Brady. He's like maybe a few years into the NFL, they would know where to go with the ball and immediately be able to dissect his defense. But he was like coming in, just entering the NFL, they wouldn't have been able to. So we said, let alone a college kid is definitely going to struggle, even if it's one of the more talented ones that we've seen walking to college football, quote unquote. So yeah, I mean, he's getting a lot of praise and a lot of buzz. And this is what you expected. If you bring a guy in who knows it at the highest level, and like we said, when talent is equated, he can do enough to win Super Bowls and get his team over the edge. At Ohio State, it's like no matter who you're playing, it's like equated or not, it's well more advanced than the other team is looking for. And people we haven't talked about as much. I mean, we've gave these players a lot of credit for what they did on the field, but just their ability to learn this defense. Like you talked about it, not giving it away, not tipping their hand, not too antsy to like get into position, because a lot of them have to run. Like we talk about the defense spinning, they had to run across the field, but not tipping it away and really making it hard for Arch Manning. It's a credit to them and Ryan Day's summer program, getting these guys in the playbook, learning what they need to do in spring football and now training camp, and having them ready to go week 1 again against Texas. So yeah, man, it's a big credit to Matt P. He came in here and he did his thing, and it's a big credit to those players and Ryan Day's decision making, getting those guys ready to go.
Big credit to Ryan Day's decision making. One thing that we've talked about over the years on this program is Ryan Day's ability to learn from mistakes, to take losing to Michigan out of it. Aside from that, Ryan seems to really learn from his mistakes, whether that be missteps in hiring, whether that be recruiting missteps. It seems like anytime Ryan has a failure that's identifiable, he addresses it precisely, and he's done a great job of tackling it. And I feel like his hire of Matt Patricia is just another example of that, of him going out there and finding a guy that he believed in, regardless of the way that people laughed at the hire or questioned the hire. He went out there, got his guy, and it's performing on the field. And it feels like Ryan Day just continues to level up, whether it be hiring. Hopefully the recruiting gets back on track, and hopefully we correct this Michigan thing. But his track record post the Kerry Combs debacle, as far as hiring, it feels like he's leveled up every time he's had to replace a coach since then.
Yeah, I mean, you really have one year where Jim Knowles was in transition, and obviously, if maybe that defense was a little bit better, we might be talking about another natty in here. And when we played against Georgia, but you're talking about like really since then, the defense has been very, very solid. And now you add in the personnel. I mean, when Jim Knowles came here, the personnel is not what it is right now with Matt Patricia. You talk about dudes all over the field. So those decisions are like literally every decision really, when you talk about coordinator and personnel, is like, are we winning a natty this year or not? Because if the right guy's in there with the talent at Ohio State, you should be in a position to compete for a natty, let alone win it. If that coordinator is bad, we have Kerry Combs, where it's like talent was here. A lot of pros, Jonathan Cooper, Brandon Browning running around the NFL. We're like, we didn't see that from them here when they weren't playing in the right defense. So it's like, man, that coordinator decision, the personnel decisions make so much difference. And you see when you get it right, that's what it looks like.
Absolutely. Ryan Day talked to the media yesterday, and you see the guy on the cover of the thumbnail, you see the title, and we have to ask the question, Q. Did Ryan Day strike gold again with the quarterback position? He addresses the media and informed them that Julian Sayin graded out as a champion in week 1 against the #1 team in the country. Q, how impressive is that?
I mean, it is very impressive, but Ryan Day has held this line of quarterback guru since he got here. What he's done with Dwayne, what he's done with Justin Fields, what he's done with CJ Stroud, and you felt like a little bit of a narrative was out there.
He won 11 games with Kyle McCord, Q.
Yeah.
I think that might be the most impressive thing out of the 3 that you just named, all those quarterbacks. And I think his masterclass was that he had a team led by Kyle McCord, a guy that is on the practice squad in the NFL, within 6 points of beating the national champions.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I will say a little bit is out there of like Ryan Day had to take a transfer. You got all this talent in the room you didn't develop. You're missing out on all these recruiting picks. Well, he was like, well, I may have got this one late because Nick Saban barely beat me out before he retired, but in 2 years, I got him, or in a year and some change, I got him ready to go beat the #1 team in the nation. So it's a credit to Ryan Day, and it's a big credit to Julian Sayin for embracing the Ohio State spotlight, embracing that next up mentality and getting ready last season. And now it's time, 1 year in, he's got another year under his belt. I mean, he's got another year behind him. So it's like, okay, we got 2 years of this guy in his first game. He's doing this. What is he going to look like when he's draft eligible after next season? So yes, Ryan Day did strike gold. And behind that, we've already heard Caleb Down shout out Tavon St. Clair and say, we got a dude behind the dude we currently have. So Ohio State quarterback, it was already up here, but it's still trending up, baby.
Absolutely. You watch Will Howard go out there and win a national championship, and you think the Buckeyes may have the ability to get back on the trajectory of having a first-round pick like the likes of CJ Stroud, Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields, and we've talked on this program for years. It felt like we haven't been able to put it all together at once. We've had defenses start to pick it up. We've had offenses, but we haven't had them put it all together. And man, if we have the talent that we have on the outside and the skill positions with Carnell, Tate, and Jeremiah Smith, and if we pair that with a first-round quarterback, given what we just saw out of this defense and all we've talked about with Matt Patricia, watch out college football. Ari Wasserman said he called Julian Sayin the next Buckeye great. The Texas players were praising him. Zach gave him high praise all throughout the coach's film room breakdown of the offense. And then when you look at Julian Sayin, he has the pedigree. He's had all of the things that we've expected of an elite quarterback. He won Elite 11. He played at a high level at 7-on-7. He played at a high level in high school. He was Nick Saban's last quarterback recruit. It's all there. And Ryan Day, I don't know if you saw the picture. I forgot to load it up. But there's a picture of Ryan Day and Julian Sayin in the locker room. And it's like one of those memes. Like, I want someone to look at me the way Ryan Day looks at Julian Sayin. Like the way that he was cheesing with Julian Sayin. Like we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Like either Ryan Day has a different type of confidence because he just won a national championship, or he knows he really has a guy at quarterback. And I'm starting to lean towards he really knows he has a guy at quarterback. I had the opportunity to go to the student appreciation practice, not this past year, but the year before, Julian's freshman year. And I called everyone after practice, and I'm like, he's clearly not going to compete for the job this year. Will's going to be the quarterback. But when Julian's out there, even when he throws incompletions, it looks pretty. Like just the way that he throws the ball. And I referred to this movie clip because this is exactly what it reminded me of watching freshman Julian Sayin during the spring when he got to Ohio State, because people just knew that there was something special.
Swing, couldn't help it. I understand. Hey, nice talking to you. Good cut, Michael. Good cut.
That was a strikeout, Mike? That was a good-looking strikeout. Real good.
I mean, you look good when you strike out, man. When I strike out, man, it looks nasty, man. At least you look good, man.
You look good when you strike out, man. When I strike out, it looks nasty. And that's how I feel with Julian Sayin. Like, even the way he delivers the ball, the way the ball comes out of his hand, even when he throws incompletions, it looks pretty. And that's what it was like rewatching the film back. Even on some of those misses, drops, you look at them and it's like, wow, look at the delivery, the ability to drop it in the bucket, the quick release on the drop for Jeremiah Smith on the screen. The performance as a first-time starter in that scenario was just so impressive. And to think about the opportunity that he has to grow. We've only seen one start, only put one touchdown up through the air. I feel like, as Michael Jordan would say, if we're going to stick on the Space Jam theme, the ceiling is the roof.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw the most least experienced and probably least confident Julian Sayin that we're going to see for the rest of his career, because it's just his first game. Coming off that win against number 1 Texas, he's like, yo, I could beat anybody. Like, me with this offense. And we talked about it this offseason. What did we say all offseason? We said, if Ryan Day is able to get this quarterback position right and this coordinator position right, which still some work to do, but we're on the right track. If he's able to get it right, there's nothing stopping his team from going back to back. That was the biggest concern. The roster's there. We talked about Arvell Reese for 2 years. He's exactly confirmed, checked. Talked about the safety other than Caleb Downs. Jalen McClain came out, bought out, check. The defensive line didn't get as much sacks as maybe you wanted them to, but you're like, with Matt Patricia mixing it up, confusing these defenses, like they played well enough, and that's probably the best offensive line they're going to play until we see Penn State. So, you know, all the check marks are there. So you're like, Julian Sayin continues to get better, and he's getting high praise from Day, and, you know, he's getting the fans, the media. If he continues down this progression, again, there's nothing stopping this team. We talk about this train starting to roll. All we need to do is get over that little speed bump of Texas, and then it's pretty much going downhill to a rematch with Jim Knowles. You feel like this team is on the right track. And you feel like, man, it's hard to get giddy, because I'm already ready for that game to see what happens, because all the storylines are now building.
Absolutely. It really feels like Ryan Day has another one. And you have to thank Bill O'Brien, right?
Yeah, big mid-credit, the best coordinator hire we had. Did the most in 3 days.
Like Matt Patricia, a home run hire, Chip Kelly, an absolute home run hire. If the Buckeyes go back to back, Ryan Day's best hire might be Bill O'Brien for 11 days. Bill O'Brien was at Ohio State less time than Kyrie Irving was at Duke.
Jesus. Oh, that's too funny. But yeah, man, I mean, he deserves all the praise. I'm interested to see these next couple of weeks. Let's get some what I didn't want to complain about it on Monday because we're coming off the high, but let's get some rotation at receiver. Let's not burn guys out. Let's start to get some guys and let's build some depth. And you feel like Julian Sayin has more time. We saw Ennis miss a pass, which wasn't an easy catch, but Jeremiah, Carnell, Tate just continue to build that chemistry and with Max Clare and guys like that. And you say like, hey, like, well, once they have some chemistry down, we know what the wide receiver room looks like. We know what the tight end room looks like. If the running game gets going, which I'm sure will be heavily worked on, I think they saw Texas and say we didn't do enough to help Julian Sayin out. But if you have that momentum going, like I feel like this team has so much room to get better, and that's the exciting thing about early college football, especially when you're winning.
Yeah, to be winning this early in the season and know that there's still so much room for growth, this Buckeye team has the potential to be scary. I wanted to circle back to Ryan Day's press conference. He talked about the right tackle position and said the reason why Phillip Daniels was able to secure that position was just his overall consistency throughout the fall camp. Q, you watched the offensive all 22. I feel like the only time I heard Phillip Daniels' name brought up during the breakdown was to give him praise and to have a tackle that had that type of matchup with the expectations of having to match up with Colin Simmons. The fact that you didn't hear him or hear his name come up during the film breakdown, other than to give him praise, hats off to him coming in and being able to win that position battle, and then not just win it, go out there and prove all of the coaches right by putting him in that position.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell even before watching the all 22 when you watch just a game on TV. What do we say with DBs? If you don't hear their name, good things are happening. With the offensive line, unless a guy's being touted in the pregame is just an All-American or something, you really don't want to hear individual names unless you want to hear the offensive line is really road grading. You want to hear them talked about as a group. When you start hearing individual names, is either a penalty or a dude's really getting abused over there. And shout out to, the Texas Edges was really good. I forget that guy's name across from Colin Simmons, but he's really good too, watching him. So the fact that Phillip Daniels to come out, we talked about this battle going on, and he got the shout for him able to hold these guys and contain them. And you said that they not giving up a sack really wasn't one pressure the entire game that they gave up on Julian Sayin for the tackles. Like him and 6'7" over there, Mr. Saraville, they absolutely balled out. So that now locks in your edges and you feel like your pass pro is going to be really good going down the stretch. If they get that run game going, get a little more creative, you feel like this offensive line can really open up some things and help your quarterback who's already riding off a high even more.
You're going to get a 6-7 edit before the end of the season you're going to die trying. You've snuck it into the show at least 4 times. I'm not going to do it. So unless someone else in the audience does it, you're not getting it. So quit asking.
I wanted to stick with hard. A little hard to cut like offensive lineman highlights without actually being on the field recording them like the media team does. So can't blame Ron for that one because we can pull one of those out. I'll be like, who do you know?
I wanted to stick with the Ryan Day press conference. He said that the offense is going to need to find ways to be more aggressive. And given the segment that we just had on Julian Sayin and how Ryan Day appears to feel about him, I mean, we've gone comparisons to CJ Stroud. We've gone comparisons to Dwayne Haskins. These are both by Ryan Day. You have to be excited about the potential. And then to hear that they want to be more aggressive. He told us for an entire month that the game plan was just win. You go back and you watch the film, which we're going to get into. It's exactly what the Buckeyes went out there and tried to do. Just win. And it's going to be exciting to see what as the identity of this offense takes shape throughout the season as they become more aggressive and get more comfortable with their first time starting quarterback.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and I think we felt this watching the game. It was a very vanilla, plan of attack. And even during the game, I think all the fans felt like, man, this kid, especially after that pass to Carnell Tate on the sideline, you're like, this kid is dotting it up. Like, this game is we feel like we have control, but it's a little too close for comfort. Like, it might be time to let the reins off and let him go. Obviously, Ryan Day keen to keep it close to the vest, but you felt like Julian was reading this Texas defense. He knew where he wanted to go with the ball. Even when he missed Jeremiah Smith deep, he made the right play. I mean, Max Clare was open. That's a first down. We get that. I mean, we might be rolling and you might see a different offense, as Chris alluded to on minutes. So you look at it, you're like, yeah, this kid can definitely handle more. With these two games coming up with Grambling State and Ohio, you feel like Ryan Day is going to open up for a little bit, give him more of a chance. It's a bigger talent gap, and he's going to get more comfortable with the offense. But, yeah, definitely it's like, number one, Texas, if you feel like you didn't let your quarterback do enough, we got a good player back there.
Yeah, I mean, Buckeye fans have to be ecstatic. You just won a national championship. You win and beat the number one team in the country week 1, and then our coach is like, and we're going to get more aggressive with my quarterback that I've been raving about. Oh, and by the way, he's going to be throwing to the best receiver in America. These next 4 weeks are about to be so fun leading up to this Washington game, and I can't wait to see what the Buckeyes do this week against Grambling State. But Q, I wanted to stick with the Texas game. Both of us got a chance to watch the All-22 film on the offense. The first takeaway, we used to do these film watches last year, and it felt during the beginning of the year, all we heard about the offensive line was misidentification in the run game. And you could see them not properly getting a line, not getting a line for these run plays, and them just stalling out because the offensive line isn't identifying pre-snap their alignment correctly.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Q, we watched it be corrected last year. We have 3 offensive line coaches now. They all seem to be super correctable things, stepping with the wrong foot, misalignments to start in the run game. These are all things that we watch all over the film early in the season last year and watch get corrected by the end of the season. But the guy that was in charge of correcting all of those things was Justin Fry. And that was the one thing that Buckeye fans were confident about with Justin Fry. He may not go out there and land a 5-star recruit, but he's going to have these guys ready to play and he's going to coach them up. Q, what level of confidence do you have in the Buckeyes being able to correct these mental mistakes that we've seen them have in years past?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to really give us insight to Tyler Bowen, and we're looking at him. Obviously, he came with a coordinator role, so we know he understands the offense and understands line play well enough to be the running game coordinator at Ohio State, at least. So you feel like this is his chance. We have a couple games here, and we felt like we had some experience coming back, but we didn't have a ton. It's still a very new offensive line, and it's not
a lot
like
of these guys that got their experience playing last year. It wasn't like they got it out of a safe, easy road of fundamental development. It was like they were thrown into the fire. Like, hey, you're ready, right? So now these guys, a lot of these guys are getting their first opportunity to start as a Buckeye. I mean, we've seen them play in starter minutes, but we haven't watched them have an entire season with that responsibility. So we haven't watched them have to work out these issues early in season. So I'm pretty confident that they're going to be able to sort it out. You seem to have the same level of confidence in Tyler Bowen to be able to sort out the issues that Justin Fry was able to solve that we watched early on film early in the season last year.
Yeah, I mean, Ron, if you had hung out in the Woody any longer last season, you might have got a start. Just saying, we had guys definitely play in moments where they had to, but that didn't necessarily mean that they played well. By the end of the season, they did, and Justin Fry was able to get it connected because we also had bowl practice. We had a lot of time, no Big Ten championship, just wait for the playoffs, and they had time to correct some things, really get that offensive line rolling, adjusting with those injuries that we had. So you feel like Tyler Bowen here, if you trust Ryan Day's hire, you look at Matt Patricia, you prop him up and say, this is a home run hire. He pulls in Brian Hartline first week, gets it done against Texas. You feel like I have enough Ryan Day credit to trust in this Tyler Bowen hire. And let's see the next couple of weeks. I mean, we have Washington coming up. That's going to be should be the next big challenge on the schedule. So you're like, we got a couple of weeks here to get it fixed. Let's see what Tyler Bowen does. We obviously expect them to just out-talent and road grade the next two opponents. But are they fundamentally correct? So that's the thing we want to watch out for in the next 2 weeks. Are these fundamentals correct? Because yes, if I go play pee-wee ball with my cousin, doesn't matter what my fundamentals are. Like I'm gonna be looking like an All-American out there on the offensive line. But are they going to be sound when it comes to Washington? So this is going to be a next challenge, and something to watch out on film and on replays this next couple of weeks for us as fans, and see, are they getting better and are they hitting those keys we're talking about right now?
Yeah, you on the rewatch, you saw a lot of uncharacteristic things from the Buckeyes that I feel like I would chalk up to week 1 jitters and just shaking the rust off. Uncharacteristic drops in zone 6 by Jeremiah Smith, Brandon Ennis. You saw Max Clare with a drop. There was a play where both tight ends ran into each other at full speed and almost took each other out. And it's just like, yeah, new coordinator, a lot of new people on the offense. I'm just going to chalk that up to week 1, and we're just going to have to keep an eye on monitoring the drops here going forward. But for the most part, I felt like a lot of the things that we did see on film felt like correctable things that were encouraging. I mean, obviously, you don't want to see the mistakes on the film, but Ryan Day talked about in his press conference, there are so many things that they need to work on and so much for them to get better at. And it's like, it has to be exciting knowing that we opened the show talking about the AP poll and the Buckeyes are number 1. And we're sitting here with a laundry list of things like, oh, and we could still get better here and still get better here. And we talked about this coaching staff being one of the best in the country. If they are who we say they are, the sky's the limit for this team right now.
Yeah, and the thing is, you're relying on a guy in Brian Hartline that's been crowned the best wide receiver coach in the nation, so much so that he got the offensive coordinator job yet again at Ohio State. So you feel like with these wide receivers and that crew he has helping him, those guys will get adjusted. Like obviously, Carnell Tate had the first couple drops. You want to shake those off, switch the gloves, whatever you have to do to get your mind right.
Jeremiah Smith, not Carnell.
Jeremiah Smith. I'm sorry. Jeremiah Smith had the first couple drops. Whatever do to get your mind right and keep moving from there. But yeah, I mean, going forward, Brandon Ennis didn't have a great game. You expect more from him, some more time, first time start. A good time to get some plays under his belt, especially get some confidence in the next couple of weeks. So you feel like the room is up here. Like you have plenty of room to get better, and you have talented guys behind these guys that are like, hey man, if you're not going out there performing, I'm ready to go. Like I tell Hartline, I want some time. It was that breed. That means when I step out here, I got to perform. It's like we talked about with the defensive line yesterday. Oh, that guy's a freak show. I need to go perform. I'm trying to hold on to my spot. So it'll be good to watch him, and let's see again if we are fundamentally sound the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, when we rewatched it, I wanted to give out a rewatch MVP. We did that yesterday with the defensive side of the ball, and while there was criticism for the wide receivers on rewatch, my MVP on rewatch is Carnell Tate because it didn't show on the TV copy the effort that he was putting in the run game as far as blocking. I didn't even realize the play that he took on Colin Simmons one-on-one to spring. I believe it was CJ Donaldson for about an 8-yard run was a back-to-back with the touchdown catch the very next play. So to see a 5-star receiver come in motion, take on a 5-star defensive end, and then the next play be rewarded with a touchdown was awesome to see. And then the reminder of like Carnell Tate's huge catch on the sidelines when Julian Sayin was rolling out in the end zone to extend that drive and allow the Buckeyes to keep that drive going a little bit further and flip the field. To see, I felt like that was, again, we've talked about this multiple times this season leading up to, today, that Ryan Day's culture has been on display in so many different ways. And I felt like Carnell Tate is just another example of the Ryan Day culture and seeing a 5-star wide receiver, a projected first-round pick out there in a slugfest, blocking his ass off, doing the dirty things for the team, but also staying ready for the big moments, a bailout play on 3rd down that keeps a drive going, that's able to sustain a drive for a young quarterback, the coming back and being able to double catch the ball and getting a touchdown to take the Buckeyes ahead, all while not getting a ton of targets in a game that's not pretty. And you have a vanilla play call and you've never once heard Carnell Tate talk about, oh, I need more touches or complain or consider transferring a guy that could be a number one anywhere in the country. And we're sitting here talking about his efforts in the run game and then just coming up big in the few moments that his number was called.
Yeah, I mean, I left thinking, man, Carnell Tate needs more targets. I mean, if we're gonna go out the way and say, hey, we got to get Jeremiah Smith the ball, which we need to do. You got to feel the same for Carnell Tate, and I understand usually that goes to the slot receiver, so it would be Ennis or insert backup here. But you feel like Carnell Tate needs to be a bigger feature in this pass game. You feel like if you're able to get him going across from Jeremiah Smith and like let Ennis get his, because he's going to anyway, just running the slide, he's going to be closest to the quarterback, and we know how he works in separation. You feel like you're really, especially running backs, we didn't get a lot out the running game, and I'm interested to see what you think about them, but we didn't get a lot against Texas out the running game. We got as much as we needed. I think C.J. Donaldson played pretty well, but we didn't get as much as we're used to. Now do we say, okay, last year we had Train Q, we gave them we got touches, but Carnell Tate over here, he's a dude. Instead of doing that, let's make sure we get him some screens. Let's make sure we get him some one-on-ones and really get him working in the pass game, because we know they can't overflood this side because Jeremiah Smith is standing over there, and you just don't want to do that. So that's a guy I'm certainly looking forward to saying, hey, put him at the top of the board. We got to get him at least 5-6 touches.
Yeah, you bring up the run game. That was something else that felt like it stood out on Rewatch was we don't have the same level of explosion in a run game that we had last year with Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, and that was apparent on the Rewatch. I think we have serviceable backs, but I don't think we have that big play explosion, and we haven't seen it from James Peoples yet. I mean, we know he possesses the speed, but we have to see it on film, and that's why I think these next 3 games are going to be so important in shaping the identity of the Ohio State offense, one with the run-pass balance based on, are these backs able to show that they're able to carry the rock consistently with success, and does another back in these next 3 games get an opportunity to flash and show that, hey, we do have explosion on this team. He just doesn't happen to be on the field. Q, I'm trying to do my very best of trust the coaches, and I do this every year. And I'm constantly saying, how dare people question what the coaches are doing? They know best. We were out there just trying to win. We were not out there just giving everyone touches that they believe. I believe that the running back that gave us the best opportunity to win that game was C.J. Donaldson, and he received the most carries. That Ryan Day got asked about it in his press conference, and he said that Locke is going to roll that room, and you're going to see a mix of carries between these backs, and it just depends on how the game is going. He said there was a lot of games where Travion Henderson didn't even get 10 carries in the game. Well, Q, I'm telling you, there's someone on this roster that I think should get 10 carries. I'm not going to say their name. I'm just going to wait for these next games to play out because, one, if the staff isn't putting him on the field, it is for a reason. And if he does get on the field, he will have the opportunity to make his case to get more touches. And I'm just going to leave it at that. When I went on Bleacher Report after the game, I gave out an offensive MVP. It went to a running back. It went to C.J. Donaldson. I just feel with the performance that we saw against Texas, the vanilla game plan, and the cupcake schedule that the Buckeyes have leading up to Washington, it's going to leave the door open to shape the identity of this offense, whether it be another back stepping up or, like you said, wide receivers seeing more targets and a more pass-lenient offense.
Yeah, and actually, I thought about bringing this point earlier, but I forgot to address it. We kind of see why the pass game was so hefty in practice leading up to this game. We talked about Jimmy Checkwell left. He was like, they started passing the ball a lot, and the way Julian Sayin was balling out, you say, well, now I see why. Now, addressing the running backs, I think they are in good position right now. C.J. Donaldson's a guy you brought in as a veteran. You say, okay, he's the guy. He's the staple. We know. You know what they used to. This used to be a joke. They used to call it like your basement, like your bottom. This is a bad reference, but this dude would call it like your bottom girl, the girl you know is going to hold it down. And he's like, the point you call it your bottom girl is if you fall through the house, the basement should catch you. Like, you go through there. So we'll put C.J. Donaldson in that position. He's our basement back. We know if we play him, he showed explosiveness. He's a guy who we can rely on to get those tough yards, and you feel like with the offensive line getting a little more holes.
I don't think that's fair. I think C.J. Donaldson's more important back than just a fall back on back, and that's the thing. I don't think that C.J. Donaldson isn't. I don't think C.J. Donaldson isn't a top tier back. I do think C.J. Donaldson is a more than capable national championship RB1.
Well, I agree with that.
I feel like there's a level of explosion that is necessary, and I just don't want to. I don't want to pigeonhole C.J. Donaldson into a role of just like some power back meathead, because I do feel like he is a much better back than just like a bottom floor back.
I think he's a good back. You caught me halfway through my little spiel here, but I'm with you. I think C.J. Donaldson is a RB1 here. I think he's a good choice back. Now, behind him with the other two, we talked about James Peoples, and he didn't play a lot. This is really his first game, getting a massive amount of time or the opportunity to make things happen. And he talked about Bo Jackson, the guy you didn't want to mention.
I didn't say his name. I didn't bring up Bo Jackson. You did.
But you feel like those two backs have a pretty high ceiling. So with C.J. Donaldson being that staple back, being that guy you can rely on, and you know what you're going to get, being able these next 2 weeks to say, hey, this is your chance as high potential backs to see if you can go maximize that, because we're going to need that this season. Can you two give us, or can one of you two give us an explosive option? That's what you want. You want the guy to be like, okay, if we get you the ball in space, we use you in the pass game. Wide receivers obviously need touches, but when we do have those opportunities, can you make the most of it? We saw in the spring game, Bo Jackson was the standout of those guys of like, oh man, once he gets in the open field, it's trouble for what the defense is looking at. And we know how good our defense is. So the next couple of weeks, I think that's what we need to find out in the Washington game too, kind of leading up to this Penn State game. We need to see if one of those guys, if Coach Locke is rolling them, will give us that, hey, he may not get 5 yards of carry, but we have a dude that's dynamic enough to give us a home run ball every now and then.
And here's where I stand with this running back situation and rotation. We watched Devin Sanchez play in the final minutes of a game against the number one team in the country. If the coaching staff feels they're ready to play, they clearly show that they're going to get on the field. If he gets out there and makes the most of his opportunity, I think his I think his carries will increase. Clearly, he wasn't in the rotation against Texas. We're going to see in the next 3 games what this distribution of carries looks like for the running back. But I personally, after watching the film, I think there's an opportunity for people to step up in that room.
I agree. And the most important thing is a fumble in Texas will get you beat. A fumble against Grambling State, you'll be like, oh,
a fumble is
we'll be fine.
Exactly. That might make you run your lap during the game.
Yeah, you got time. By the time you get back, we'd have scored another 7, and then you'll have another opportunity to go back out there. So, I expect the running backs to produce a little better again. First really big time opportunities at Ohio State. We'll see what they do throughout the season, but I expect the running game to get better.
Absolutely. And I love the competition that it breeds, like knowing that we have more than one capable back in that running back room. Ryan Day said that they're going to roll through them. They're going to keep it balanced. I said, I don't want to see C.J. Donaldson being used like a battering ram against Grambling State. Like, let Turbo Rogers, let Sam Williams-Dixon, let all of those guys get carries in these games, because I want C.J. Donaldson healthy for the playoffs. That's all I want.
Yeah, because you're going to need another performance probably at Penn State like you just had at Texas, where like we need a guy we can rely on to get those tough yards, because we know that.
I need 4 yards. Get out there, CJ.
Yeah, go get it. Hey, had it when you needed it, and that was the most important thing. But yeah, I expect the running game to get a lot better.
Yeah, I'm super excited for all of these young guys to get touches in these next couple of games. We've talked about the 3 primary backs in the room, but I expect to see some of the other guys in the room as well these next couple games too. So it'll be exciting to see the future of the running back room. Q, that's all I have for today, man. has been an awesome ride these past couple days, watching these numbers, watching the channel grow, seeing all the support. I can't thank everybody enough for the support that we've seen these past couple days. It's honestly been overwhelming to see the numbers run up like they have. Just a big thank you for everyone that has been subscribing over here at Dead Air Sports. If you've been watching on Twitter, a big thank you. It also would help if you came over here and hung out on YouTube. It helps us a lot more if you watch here than on Twitter, but a lot of people do enjoy watching us over there, so we do broadcast there. Q, if the people want to find you, if they're not yelling at you in the comments, where else can they find you?
Well, feel free to yell at me in the comments. I'm happy with it. And we got, like Ron said, we got a lot of new subscribers. So we talked about a lot today. The AP poll, obviously the start bench cut. Talked about Ohio State jumping a little further into the film. So let us know. What are you? Hey, we're never short of opinions around here. We can always use more. So hit the comments. Let us know what your thoughts were on the game in the first weekend of college football, and obviously all things going on at Ohio State. If you want to find me, I'm City Boy Quentin on Twitter. I'm Finding Johnson on Instagram, and I'm here Monday through Friday with my guy Ron, of course, doing the Buckeye roast here. So Dead Air Sports, make sure you subscribe to that. Channel is booming. Again, appreciate all the new subs. Ron, where can they find you at?
Yeah, if you want to find me, you can find me right here on Dead Air Sports Monday through Friday for the Buckeye Roast right here at 8 a.m. with my guy Q. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button. Tons of content coming out on the channel. I know it's I-71 new episode will be dropping at 10 a.m. So if you enjoy the content around here, if you're a fan of Chris Drew, if you like what him and Tyler are doing on the I-71 rundown, a fan of Ohio sports, check that out in about an hour right here on the channel, running a little bit long. So probably about 50 minutes here at 10 a.m. right here on the channel, Chris Drew and Tyler for I-71 rundown. If you enjoy what you're seeing here, you can catch us here for the Buckeye Roast. You can catch us in the Bleacher Report app. You can catch me and Chris Drew post games on Saturdays in the Bleacher Report app. And you can catch me on Twitter at 2Ts. It's 2_TES. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button. We've been running it up over 100 per episode. Let's keep that going. It helps us a ton. Make sure you tell a friend. If you're new around here and you enjoy the channel, let us know in the comments. We appreciate all the new subscribers. And of course, shout out all the OGs that have been holding us down for all the years, from Twitter Spaces to other YouTube channels, the playback, all Bleacher Report, everywhere. We appreciate everyone that's been holding us down, supporting us, and it's appreciated seeing all this growth. I can't thank you guys enough. Oh my God, it's 2 a.m. You know I can't talk. It's the end of the day. Just get me out of here, Q. You know how this thing ends. It's always go Bucks, and of course, OH.
IO.
Example, when things get hard in life, you just keep swinging as hard as you can. You fight. That's our culture.
I promised you we had a plan. Remember that we talked about a plan? The plan was infallible. Part of that infallible plan is getting a team prepared, ready to go, so we start practice. Our coaches know what we got. And there's not one person in America I trusted more than Coach Mick and that staff. Think about this. 130 teams either today they report or they've already reported. 130. 16 weeks from now, there's going to be one champion. One champion in our conference, one champion on the side of our conference. And in the country, one team's going to do this. Not 36, not 48, not 44, one. That tells you how hard it is to be a champion. To do right all the time. To know your assignments. To have 11 guys play hard on every staff. That's hard. That's why there's one. I want a hungry team. I want a hungry team. I want a team that can't wait to get out there. Where there's a bunch of players that maybe, whenever you have a new coaching staff, you haven't played much, maybe you're trying to make a name for yourself, you're a hungry football player. I want a hungry team. And last one, most importantly, I've got to coach a few of them. I want an angry team. I want a pissed off football team. I want a team that has a little chip on their shoulder. Maybe something's been taken from you. Maybe something hasn't. Maybe something's been taken from you. Are you a team that's going to go get it? You're the Ohio State Buckeyes. You're an angry football team. You got an angry staff. You got a bunch of guys that are getting ready to start a journey. We're starting that journey tomorrow at 5 a.m. You're a hungry football team, and I'm proud to be your coach. There's a plan in place, right?